It has been more than 7 months since the Inflation Reduction Act went into effect, and the measure's efforts to expand clean energy initiatives, they're beginning to take hold. Over the next 10 years, the act aims to lower carbon emissions by 40%, creating 9 million new clean energy jobs in the process. That's according to estimates from UMass Amherst. So how effective has the IRA been in these early days? David Callaway is with us now. He's editor and founder of Callaway Climate Insights. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Julie.
So obviously this is a longer term plan. What can we see thus far, and how are we to judge it?
Well, I think we should be really excited about the first 9 months. It's gone much better than expected. It was obviously a very difficult act to get across, right? They had to name it Inflation Reduction to satisfy some on the other side. But the response has been booming, and it's done some really interesting stuff. Up until about 9-10 months ago, Europe was considered the overwhelming leader in climate action. China, a little bit to some extent, and the U.S. a distant third. This has propelled us to the top of the list. Everybody wants their own Inflation Reduction Act around the world right now, the subsidies, the ideas, because they're starting to see booming amounts of infrastructure money, government money flowing in, and private money attracting it in infrastructure plays and renewable energy. The results, which really kind of drove home the success of it, hit this week, Julie and Brad. Something called Carbon Monitor, which monitors emissions globally, reported that U.S. Carbon emissions actually fell in the first 4 months of this year, for the first time in the Biden presidency, and really first time since COVID, since we were all in lockdown. That it goes against countries like India and China, where they're still rising precipitously. So it was good news for President Biden as he went to Europe and talked climate with King Charles. And it really shows that the administration's riding high on these investments, which are really just starting. Some people are saying, granted, they're on the Democratic side, they're saying this could be the most important economic act in 30 or 40 years. If it really takes off and we see the shift into renewable energy that we're expected to see from this. So, 9 months in, pretty good. Well, obviously, we'll take a look after a year, 2 years, 3 years. The test will be in 10 years, whether we actually do it. But so far, off to a really good start. And, that's going to translate, I think, to jobs and economic recovery, probably at a pivotal political time for the president.
Well, and if we're looking across a 10-year timeline, it would need to have a certain passing of the baton in terms of prioritization or allocation of that spending, too, over an extended period of time. So even if we look more near term right now and look at some of the benchmarks that would say that this is a success or not, even as we get towards the 2024 general election, is there one key figure that either the president or more broadly Americans can look to say whether or not this has been a success?
Well, I think in any election it comes down to jobs, and so that's going to be the key figure that's derived. Right now, people are kind of looking at level of investments. So for every dollar the federal government puts in, and I think they pledged $380 billion to this in this act, for every dollar they put in, how much private money comes in, and it's flowing in, and it's flowing in from outside of the U.S. as well. So right now, that's it. Now, will that translate to jobs? That's the bet that the Biden team is making. And they're facing a really kind of difficult conundrum because they're essentially betting on a response to climate change, but they don't want to talk about climate change because it's a hot button political issue. So we'll see how it goes. But I think, Brad, jobs is going to be the key. And that's why before the president went to Europe, he was kind of barnstorming around the country talking it up.